Hello everyone, my name's Matthew Wainwright and I'm a time tunneler. Now this week has been very exciting for me because my new book has just come out. You can see the title here, it's called Through Water and Fire, and here it is. This book is set in Tudor times, about 500 years ago, when King Henry VIII was king, and it's about the time he was thinking of finishing his marriage to his first wife and getting married to his second wife, Anne Boleyn. You know he was famous for having 6 wives. Now the book is set in a large Tudor manor house, which I've called Lockwood Hall. I made it up, but it's based on a very real place called Haddon Hall, which is in Derbyshire in the north of England. Now when I was researching the book, I looked at lots and lots of pictures of Haddon Hall, and I set the story in various different places around. And you'll see in the front of the book, if you get a copy of that, I have a map. And this map is based almost exactly on the layout of Haddon Hall. And what's interesting about this is that I can have a look at Haddon Hall and I could go through and I could decide where I wanted different bits of the story to happen. So I'm going to take you on a little tour through Lockwood Hall, based on the very real Haddon Hall, and we're going to talk about some of the places that you'll find in the book. Now the first place that our main character, Grace, comes to is the courtyard. And this was a big space at the front of the hall where all the work and business of the hall would go on. And you'd have blacksmiths and you'd have people doing washing, you'd have carpenters. It'd be very noisy and busy. And when Grace, our main character, arrives and comes into that courtyard, she's amazed at just how many people it takes to keep this huge house running. Then Grace goes in through the huge front door and into the Great Hall. And in Tudor manor houses, the Great Hall was the centre of everything. It's where people would eat, it's where some of the servants would sleep at night, it's where you'd have parties, it's where you'd have guests. It was really the thrumming heart of the hall. And if you went in, you'd see there'd be a great roof with carved timbers, there'd be stained glass windows, there'd be a huge fireplace, there'd be trestle tables which could be moved away and put out very quickly depending on how many people eat them. And like I said, at night they'd all be cleared away and lots of the servants would actually sleep in there. Now as we go through the main hall to the back, there's a much smaller room called the parlour, and this is where the family would go to sit and maybe have some supper, have some conversation, and maybe have some guests. And our main character, Grace, meets the family that she's staying with, the Lockwood family, in there for the very first time. And she notices how warm it is because it's the middle of winter, but there's a blazing fire in the fireplace. And it would have been a lovely warm room for everybody to sit in because it's so small, much warmer than the huge Great Hall next door. Now we come back out of the Great Hall, out of the main door, across the courtyard and to the last place we're going to visit, which is the chapel. Religion was a very important thing to Tudor people. Everybody was a Christian. Everybody believed in God, more or less, and people went to church sometimes every day. But at this time, great changes were going on in religion, and one of the biggest changes was that the Bible, the book which Christian people read, was being translated from Latin, which was a language that not many people could understand, into English, which was a language that everybody could understand. And it was being printed and sent all over the country. But at this time, that was actually against the law. And some people who were caught who possessed English Bibles or even just reading them could be arrested and even executed. So it's very dangerous. And the family that Grace stays with are people who support this. And so all their services in the chapel are in English and they read the Bible in English, which Grace realizes is a very dangerous thing to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed that very quick tour around some of the rooms. If you want to know more about Lockwood Hall, then obviously read the book. If you want to know more about Haddon Hall, the real place, you can go and visit if you're lucky enough to live near enough, or if you can make the journey. I'd heartily recommend that you do that and have a look around and see some real living history. For your writing challenge this week, there's 2 ways to do it. The first way is go to our Time Tunnelers website, look for my post and download the map of Lockwood Hall that you see there. Then I want you to write your own story about someone arriving at Lockwood Hall for the first time and going through some of these rooms and seeing what's in each one of them. And maybe there's a bit of a mystery. Maybe someone has an illegal Bible that they're not supposed to have. Or the second way to do the challenge is to draw your own map of a place that you know very well. Maybe your home, your house, or your flat where you live, or maybe your school. And then write an exciting story about someone exploring all the rooms in that building. And maybe, just maybe, there might be something like a secret hidden passage or a tunnel that somebody could go down. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the tour. I hope you enjoy the writing challenge. And as always, happy time tunneling. Goodbye. Derbyshire. Derbyshire.